Okay, good morning everyone. I hope you are well. We will start our webinar series, Shedmate Webinar Series 2026. So I'm really glad to be part of this. This event and these meetings will help us to short the distance between the Shedmate team and you. So, okay, today we will have our first one, and I want to welcome you to this Shedmate Q&A Live. And just to explain that this section is here to help you to get more out of Shedmate with practical demos, real workflow tips, and live questions. So today, Artur is joining me to talk through key points and answer your questions as we go. Hello, Artur. How are you doing?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks for hosting our first webinar, right, Renato? I'm very excited for it. And as you said, this is, focused to be like really practical demos, real workflow guidance, live Q&A. So if you have questions, not only during the webinar, but even after it, it's going to be available live for you. And you can send us via the support at shedmate.com.au if any specific workflow that you have questions about. And then we can, use this opportunity weekly to actually, as you said, reduce that gap so we can provide to you some feedback. And the good thing about Shedmate is there's so many different ways to do the same thing. So it's good to see different people operating Shedmate. Even myself, sometimes I look at a team member here using Shedmate and like, oh, that's an interesting way of doing this. I never thought of it. So it's good to have that practice and look at different workflows. So Renato, are you happy for me to, you start here? Do you have anything else to share? Or maybe you want to go to the agenda a little bit and then we can...
So let's start to talk what we are covering today and why it matters to your daily basis, okay? So today we will cover some areas. The first one will be demonstrating a little bit of the new features that we are developing. So it includes the tapered truss and the concrete panel. Okay, after that we will check the engineering request overflow workflow that we have changed a little bit to make it easy to you to set up things and parameters and window analysis. So we will have a look on this as well. So we check some common user challenges as well. And we will talk about a feature that is already deployed, but I believe that not everyone uses that. It's to share the link of the project with a customer. So it will make it easy your sale process as well. Okay. So our goal is really simple here, is to be, as Artur said, really practical and to go direct to the point so you can use Shedmate better and better. Okay, so yeah, so let's begin with the product features.
Let's begin.
Yeah, and what they look like in practice. So can you show to us these features that we have today to share with our viewers? Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Renato. I'm sharing my screen. Please let me know if it's showing accordingly. Yeah. And yeah, as Renato said, I think a very important feature is the share links, because one of our main goals here, specifically for the code-formed industries, to help you double your shared sales profitably without new hires or franchising strings. So talking about doubling sales is very important, right? So the more value we can provide to the customer, the prospect in the first meeting, the bigger the chances for us to close that deal. And the share link is one of those features that can be a great resource. So you can, receive an inquiry from the customer, and then you can call them as a salesperson and say, hey, look, I received an inquiry here. I understand you're trying to do a shed like this, maybe 10 meters wide by 15 meters long, a few, let's say 4 or 5 bays. And then as you are iterating and talking to the customer on the phone, you can make those modifications in Shedmate in real time and then say, hey, look, are you able to open your phone? I can send you a text message right now with how your shed is going to look like. And then you can make the modifications to the shed and the customer can see that live. So this is a great resource to do that, and it feels like magic. And at the same time, you can export architectural plans, site plans, and in that first conversation, you can give all of that documentation to the customer in real time, so you can iterate and reduce the time to close that deal. So if you look at traditional workflow, someone goes in the shed business, they kind of tell a little bit what they want. They wait a little bit for quote, and then they're like, okay, that quote's too much. How much does it cost me to add a roller door? And then they wait a little bit more for the admin process to actually get another quote. And this time, keeps increasing. The longer it takes, the harder it is for the sale to happen. Salesperson know that. So that is one of the additional features we put right into the system to help you do that. So maybe because I'm talking about it, I will start on that one, and I'll change a little bit here the script, Renato, if I may, to maybe cover those specific topics for the code form, and then I can go a little bit more focused on the structure steel, and then we can discuss some of the questions we received. Okay. So just before I start, I'd like to share who this content is for. So if you're just curious in our YouTube channel, this is not for you. That's for existing customers, right? Well, you could watch this, no problem, and provide some feedback at the end. But the focus here is existing customers who are already using Shedmate, who already know how to do it, and they understand the workflow. If you're new to Shedmate, you want to get more information, I would advise you to go to our website and contact our sales department at sales@shedmate.com.au. For existing customers, as I said, we have different main categories, the cold formed side and also the structural steel, which we're talking about the larger buildings with universal beams, web trusses, and everything. So in that segment, we're going to discuss the features for both in this webinar. And I will start right now with the code formed. I'll create a new job here, a new draft actually, so we can actually demonstrate those features. So if I just put here, hey, that's a new draft. I'm going to use your name here, Renato, if that's okay. So that's a project for Renato.
Go ahead.
Filho. And Renato is, I'm going to base you in Perth right now. Oh, maybe Adelaide, okay? So you're based in Adelaide. So I'm not putting a lot of information here. I just want to create a basic draft. And then I can open Shedmate and just giving some tips already for those using Shedmate. One of the most important things is for you to actually so I'm going to start with a very basic default shed. He's the button that Renato mentioned. So that's a new feature. He's on more. You can click on share. And when you do this, Shedmate's going to give you two options. You can scan a QR code, or you can download that QR code to share with someone. You could download this and put in architectural plan, for example, if you want to. You can put in official documents, or you could just copy that link and send to anyone. Right? I'm leaving the QR code here because anyone watching the live, I'm actually looking for my phone here. So anyone watching this live, you could just open your camera. I'm going to do this right now to show you what it looks like. And you can just scan it and click on it, and then it's going to open, just loading here. So it's just saying the current shed wasn't initialized yet. You'll be able to view it once the first version is saved. Awesome. So you can take customers say, hey, I can't see anything. Just save the shed. Yep, let's save the shed here. And let me just reload this. And there you go. Now I can see, maybe it's a little bit small because I'm showing on my camera here, but I can see on my phone that exact shed. And this is when the live thing comes in. So when the customer says, hey, look, I want to add like a roller door on the, on the side bay. Okay, let's add a roller door there. Can actually do some sliding panel doors. Yes, we can. I can use a keyboard shortcut and add some sliding panel doors there. That's also another tip I suggest to existing customers is to learn those keyboard shortcuts because they're gonna save you a lot of time. It's like, hey, I want to add a window, like WN, boom, it's there. I want to add a door, DR, boom, it's there. So it becomes so easy and quick to create your shed files. There you go. So now if I come here and just say, hey, customer, can you just refresh your page? Then I can see all of those little details on my little shed there on my phone. And this is what you can do. You can, do those changes live while you're talking to the customer, and they can see that just by using that link that you can share with them via email, via text message, or anything else. Okay, good. So let's apply this to the whole shed and doors. And let me save that again. And once again, they can actually see how it looks like on their phone straight away. There are some specific features see on my computer as if I was the customer actually seeing that. So as you can see here is like one-to-one. It matches exactly what we did here, but it's like focus on the customer. And I have here a few things. You can show all. We can show like the fabrication view. We can show an orthographic perspective. Perspective or orthographic view. So the perspective is good because you can go inside. So if I show all, I can see kind of how my shed's going to look like from inside, which is really good to have that good understanding of the design intent. And then from here, that's when you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe I could make this a little bit higher and put a mezzanine there. Yeah, sure. You know, how high you want. Okay, let's say 4.2. Done. And with like a mezzanine. Yep, let's add a mezzanine. Just change the visibility here on my Shedmate to maybe fabrication so I can see. And okay, mezzanine is going to be on the last bay. Save the shed. Let's go back here. Just refresh this page. And there we go. My mezzanine is there. And then I can go back, show all. And then I can see the mezzanine for storage or any other purpose. So I think you got the picture of the importance of this share link. It's a great feature for the sales team to actually, get that interactive process with the customer if they're not in the same office as you are. If they're in the same office, it's in a visit, you can use Shedmate as it is here, which is better to discuss. And then you can iterate engineering and pricing in real time. Okay? Is it making sense so far, Renato? Any questions? Can I keep going this space?
Yeah, and it's really good because, as you said, sometimes we develop a feature, and every company will use it in a different way. So I believe that the viewers that are seeing this has just to think how this feature could place in their workflow, because there's not a right method. You can talk with the salesperson and with the builders. So yeah, you have just to think how to adjust this feature to set in your workflow.
Yes, absolutely. And the workflow that would happen most of the time, and that's the ideal workflow we suggest, is having your 3D online designer on your website. And then you can run some ads like Google ads. You can run some Facebook ads that are actually our digital marketing conversion pages, which is a good resource that allows you to create multiple URLs. So I'm being a little bit more technical here, but those different URLs will allow you to create an ad for Google ads, another ad for Meta ads, which is Facebook. And then you can keep track of those specific conversion and allow the artificial intelligence to actually refine those ads so you can have a better outcome. And then what's gonna happen eventually is you're gonna open up your Shedmate and you're gonna see new inquiries there. And it's okay, we just got this new inquiry here from someone. And then what you can do is like call them straight away, and then you can have a great discussion about the specific shed with the visual here. So for example, I would give an advice here, say, hey, look, I think I have a very big roller door there. Is it really what you want? Wouldn't it be better to change the sliding door panel? And that person can be like, yes, but I just think that might be too expensive, isn't it? And you can say, look, your shed right now is $71,000. So if we just delete that roller door and we add here a sliding door panel, we're looking at, do these a few times. We're looking at 73.5. So this is the other thing. You have that real time like pricing, difference. And I could save this and say, look, if I want to go back to the previous version of that shed, so you had about $71,800 with a massive roller door. But if you have sliding panels, which will allow you to have a much bigger opening, then that's going to be 73.5. It's not a big difference. Would you like to do it? Oh, no, I'll keep with the 72, 71. Okay, that's good. Go back to that version, save again, and that's the most updated version. So this is like a massive feature, not only to share that link and give that visualization for the customer, but also to have a good assessment of pricing in real time as well. Because this is what can make or break that deal. Sometimes the customer will have a specific budget, like, hey, I only have 70,000. I cannot go above it. That's my finance limit. Okay, let's try to make it for you. What if you go 3.8 meters high? Still not there. Maybe 3.6, 3.5. Yeah, 3.5. You know, we can say, yeah, $72. That's fine. You can make it for 70 grand for you. So if your customer has a budget, you can help them and advise them as a salesperson in this respect by providing them the right information. There are other things they can do here. They could remove some of those skylights because we have a lot of different skylights here and increase the shed. So there's no right or wrong design. The iteration here is massive. So we have run some calculations internally, and for the same shed, the same location, just changing specific parameters like adding knee bracing or not adding knee bracing, adding fry bracing or not adding fry bracing. Just changing those things, we could have more than 1 million different design options. So
Yeah.
it's like there is no right or wrong. And that's why Shedmate is great because it gives you all of those different possibilities, allowing you to see which is going to be the best one for your pricing impact and for the desire of the customer in terms of the design intent. Okay, I think that covers that, right, Renato? And maybe I can jump into the new engineering workflow now. And to do
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Good. To do this, I'll just go back to that original design that we were playing with, in which we were kind of pivoting, changing things here. And let me save this very basic shed. I don't remember. I think it was 3.8 originally. Anyways, it could be anything. So before, just so our existing customers know, we had our engineering process that you initiate by clicking on this button, engineering not initialized. And you can see here that the user interface is way simpler. So we had a system before that you needed to add the terrain category, you need to add the importance level, the wind region, you need to manually specify that. And that was built on purpose because some of our customers who are more custom, they want to have that flexibility. But a lot of the new customers who just have like a shed kit supply business, they want something that's simple. They just press a button and they get the information. So we built that for you. So the way it works is the first thing is asking you that would you like to start with the auto apply engineering enable? I'm thinking yes. So auto apply means that as soon as I run engineering, it's gonna update all of my frames in Shedmate. So if you're designing a shed in which you have a specific frames you need to keep, you don't need to, you are not changing those frames. Let's say that it's like frames that you have on your backyard that you need to, get out of the door, then I wouldn't tick this. But obviously you need to assess if the engineer if that's going to pass or not. But in most of the cases, let's say 95% or even more, you would click yes on this one. So then you can click here on next. And then now Shedmate has two options. So the option on the bottom is what we had previously. If I click next, you're going to see that here we can actually define like our region, like TC building class. And if I go back to it, the first option is different. So this is where I actually ask Shedmate to run site specifics for me. So if I click next, it's probably going to give me a warning here that we don't have a site plan. So obviously to run a site-specific engineering, I need to have a site plan. So I need to tell Shedmate exactly where my shed is going to be placed and what's the orientation of that shed. So let's do this. Let's do a site plan. Site plan is very simple. I'm going to use a specific place here. I could put like a commercial address like Tennyson Woods College. And then Shedmate is going to look using our Google database, and it found a specific address for it. I'm going to click it on it, and I'm just going to hit save. So what happens now, it automatically detects the block boundary, as you guys know, and I have that shed there, and then I can just move it around and position wherever I want. So if I position this like in the middle there, we're going to have a lot of shielding. If I position here on the outside, the shielding reduces a little bit. So obviously the position and the orientation of the shed will impact your site specifics. So in this example, I'm just going to use this area. I'm going to rotate this a little bit. Let's say, hey, my shed is going to be here close to the carport. Sorry, to the car park. I'm going to hit confirm. I could toggle HD to see how it looks like in high definition. So yeah, actually, I'm going to move this a little bit more. And yep, that's okay. Let's hit save. Okay, that's all I need. I just need to put my shed in the block and or orient it correctly. So now let's go back to our designer. I can run my engineering again. And I can say, look, I would like Shedmate to determine the site specifics automatically. So when I click next, it's actually running the wind analysis, and it's actually getting that data in terms of the terrain category, the wind region, the speed, and all of that information. So let's just wait a little bit. That generally takes about a few seconds. Good. So now it's just asking me, would you like to add pricing to it? So you can see the price live. Yes. So I'm just going to use the master template that we have in Shedmate. Every company has its own, and I'm going to hit OK. Okay, now I have engineering that's building class 10, TC2, region A5, it's in Mount Gambier. That's importance level 2, city of Mount Gambier, and that's the council address as well. So just going to hit OK, and now let's open our engineering so you can see the full details. If I change here my visibility to engineering, I'll be able to see what Shedmate kind of calculated for me. And here I have some details about this engineering. It's actually saying that the shed contains at least one width bay that is longer than the length bay. Let's decrease that. Okay, let's just click fix here, and that's okay. This shed contains mezzanine. So at the moment, mezzanine is being treated as a custom engineering, so that's important to mention. We're working on actually including this in the automatic one. So for this example, I'm just going to remove that mezzanine. So you can see that Shedmate kind of talks to you as it goes. Save the shed again. So it's saying, yep, your shed is optimized for engineering, which means that we have applied some engineering and it's good to go. Once again, if I open the engineering details, actually, I'm going to request engineering compliance report here and show site information. So you can see here that has a VDAS and V service, which is the wind speed for the ULS when we calculate if your shed's going to break it or not, and the wind speed for the LSL, which is when we calculate if your shed's gonna, have a lot of bending or deflection that's gonna affect the service of the structure. Okay, so that's the new workflow. As you can see, extremely simple to run. I'll probably, while I'm here, I'm going to show a few different things. You can see here that multiple engineering options are available for the same shed. This is built on purpose. I'm here on our Shedmate environment, which has a lot of different computations and settings. For example, we could have here a company that uses knee bracing. So look at our pricing here. I have $48,000. If I click here, this changes just a little bit more expensive actually, this one. And then I have another one that's fixed, so you can see the price is different as well. So what's fixed? This is based on the support. This is for welded plates, okay? So obviously we have companies that they do welded, they have their own fabrication, and we have companies who use our generic brackets, which doesn't require any welding. It's just, brackets with bolts. And then we have different computations for different types of companies and settings. If you are just using brackets, you wouldn't have that fixed option there. So this is part of the onboarding process. When you come to Shedmate, then you're gonna, refine what's available for you. Other companies will prefer not to have options at all. They will say, hey, Artur, I don't want to overcomplicate to my salesperson. I just want them to run, and then they're gonna have a comp there for them. Yep, that can also be done. We can just remove everything that your company doesn't do. For example, here we have double up. So that's another different comp, a little bit more expensive, but it uses double frames. Some companies do use only double up frames, and that's how they work. We have another one that's knee brace, but now fixed. We have another one here that's double up, fixed as well. So as you can see here, different options for the same shed. You could keep with the simple one and move forward. Now, once you want to request an engineering computation, so you can receive the full engineering certification package for your council approval purposes, you can come here and request engineering compliance report. And you're going to notice that this changed a little bit as well. So we are now providing more information to you, and we open up fields that you can actually communicate directly with the engineering team. So for example, for any reason, if you feel that this computation is incorrect, if you feel like there is a bug or something going very odd here, you can flag this computation as incorrect, and you can talk to our engineering team, say, hey, the footings seem to be too big. I was expecting it to be around 450 by 600, something like that. The only request and advice I say here, and maybe Renato might agree with this, is try to be as more specific as you can. Because if you just share with us, say, hey, this is wrong, our engineering team is going to receive that and it's like, yes, what's wrong? And you're not helping us at all. So that requires a phone call, that requires more communication. So eventually your shed's going to be delayed. It's not going to be delivered as quick. But if you're very specific here, then my team can actually get back to you in a faster way. And by the way, don't use this to just try to, optimize the shed at all costs. Don't use this, to exchange 10 different, emails for the same design. Shedmate is giving you the best it can. This is mainly for when you find really issues, when you find those red flags and say, okay, something is not right here, okay? But your shed was already calculated and designed in the best way possible. So this is what you can do. That's one thing. You could send that feedback to the team. Something else you could do, you could check here what you have on your system and what the computation has applied. So the reason why we show those is because some companies have different, different settings, right? For example, some companies won't use bracings. Some different companies won't use double up. So we just want to ensure that you're not applying a computation by mistake that was not designed by your company. So that's why we have that checklist here. So as you can see, everything looks correct. If I go next, then I have a few different options as well. I could just say, yep, I'm happy with the results, and I want to certify this job. So pretty much this is going to give you the price for your Shedmate comp, and then you can pay and receive your full engineering certification. And happy days. Your customer is happy, you're happy, everyone's happy. You could also ask Shedmate to optimize the engineering if possible. So this is going to obviously delay a little bit the delivery of your shed, because the engineer would actually assess this manually and see, is there any other way to optimize this? And if you do, please, once again, provide more information. Because just saying I need to optimize this, there's so many different ways to optimize. You could add additional bracing. You could, just change the footing type. There's so much things you could do here to actually optimize that shed. And it comes back to that alignment, in which what's your preferred way to actually build the shed for your customers. And everyone's different. We could have a lot of bracing here on all of the walls, and your shed is going to be more optimized, but that's going to be a pain during the erection process. So is it what you want? So there's no right or wrong design. It's mostly about what you are happy with and what obviously it's commercially competitive for your customers. Renato, am I missing anything here? Would like to complement anything? All good?
Yeah, no, it's all good. Actually, the workflow was really good before, but this new one is way better, because it's more. There is more clarity on the process, and and as Artur said, we have a lot of options to optimize the shed, and I believe that the best thing is to be really direct to the point with us, and I don't use fly bracings, and we will try to use another method to optimize the shed as well and to make it better for the customer. But yeah, just remembering that engineering has some limitations as well,
Yeah.
Like we will get the results, we will share to you the results, but yeah, engineering has rules that can be passed by. Okay, so
we cannot get away from the natural, physics and the natural rules of the block. If it's in front of the ocean and you have no shielding, you're gonna have a lot of wind, and your shed's gonna be, stronger than your neighborhood did like 10 years ago. Because that's something that happens sometimes, right? People say, yeah, but I have someone else just next door that have a shed and it's much smaller, the frames. Yeah, but there was different regulations back then. We didn't have the new wind speed regulations. Things are different. So, you might have a different soil, right? You could have a soil that requires, stronger footing. So there are so many different variables. So just trust the process, trust the engineer. And if you just flag something, you can talk to us. And that's actually the third step here is I would like to propose adjustments. So when you click here, once again, Shedmate is going to tell you everything that, it's using. And then you could say, guys, and then you can provide as much information as possible here. Say, for example, we have a customer in Tasmania in which they have limitation of supply for a specific top hat. So sometimes Shedmate might suggest a specific top hat, and they say, hey, I don't have that top hat available commercially here. Can I actually go up, or can I change to something else? What we did for that customer was to remove those specific top hats from his company, so Shedmate wouldn't suggest it anymore in the future. But that's a specific regional situation that might happen. It's someone doesn't have commercially available materials, and then they need another alternative. So if that's your case, please talk to us. And once again, be as specific as you can. Use artificial intelligence to do that if you want. Open chat, GPT, and maybe say, hey, look, I need to provide feedback for this engineering. Please help me be more specific. And then it's gonna ask you a few questions, and you can paste the outcome here. So the more information, the more detail you put for the engineering team, the faster your outcome is gonna get to you. And I think that's the main goal here, isn't it? So you to receive the information faster. And then as soon as you put information, you can send that to our team, and our team will get back to you. So I agree with you, Renato, 100%. I think the workflow is much better, much faster. It doesn't require a lot of technical knowledge now to request engineering, to activate engineering, because it's using that site-specific information. And if you're a customer that's doing a shed that requires that manual output, the process is exactly the same. I'll just create a new project here called Renato. I'll put here Filho 2, and that's going to be in Melbourne now. And let me save this, open up that project, and just run the same process again so you can see how it works. I think we're doing the live now, and my internet's a little bit slow, Renato.
Yeah, it happens. But yeah,
getting there.
It's going.
Good. So the other one here is I would like to input my on-site information, right? Let me go back and just run a test here on my site plan, and I'm gonna use the same. I put Melbourne there, but I use this address so much when demonstrating to customers because it's a big block and it's easy to show the different things. But it could be Melbourne. So let's say you have your specifics there, and now when you open up your Shedmate, you come here and you'd like to input your own information. It's actually locked here for some reason. Let me see if I can kind of unlock it. Yep. So this one you can unlock when running this, and you can say, hey, look, this is actually, like A4 or A3. You can see that's actually getting different areas of the, that's a different terrain category. Let's say it's like a shed that doesn't have any important stuff on the bottom. It's far away from any residential property. It might be like a TC1, and you can save some bucks there. So you have that level of flexibility here when requesting as well. But obviously, that's going to pass through the assessment of the engineers, and it's very important that you actually input the right information. So you have this option here to do this. Okay, so I think that finalizes the demonstration of the new engineering workflow. Once again, it's much faster, and it's gonna get to your quotes, much faster than before. So hopefully you can close more of those deals. Everything we do here is to help you, close more deals profitably without those new hires or franchising strings by automating the process, so you can have more peace of mind to scale your shed. No matter if you're doing 100 sheds or 1,000 sheds a year, or even more, we have customers in all of those different areas. Shedmate can be used to scale as you go. Okay, so looking back to our agenda here, I think we have some additional items to discuss. And now I'm going to move from the code forms to maybe the structure view and discuss some of those two additional features, which is the cantilevers and with tapered trusses, and also the concrete panels, which are new features we are publishing soon to our customers. So although I'm using here the same model, just make a few modifications here, if I may. So let's say, hey, for this one, I'm going to use some web trusses. So for those existing customers in the code form, you might not be able to do that. And that's okay. I'm just demonstrating here this. You can see that it's going to ask to use that. And now I have some options here with rafters and with web trusses. I'm going to keep the web trusses. So imagine I'm doing a more stronger shed, right? Maybe make this a little bit higher, 4.5 meters high. So now we have some different options here, and one of them is the cantilevers. So by do that, you have a few options. You could actually do this on the main web truss. I'll show the tapered truss first. So here we have now the different truss types. You could be using the parallel chords, as you have here. You could use the hollow truss, which is something like this, or you could use the tapered. So the tapered will give you different options, and one of them is to actually, you could change the short end ratio, say 0, and this is the outcome we have. So this is mostly used for the cantilevers, which you're going to use here, but you can make different adjustments here based on your own design. So when using the structural steel, as you know, you can get feedback from your own engineers, and if your own engineers come up with a specific truss, you can use Shedmate to do exactly the same one, so you can have that real price and become and use a system that's very accurate for what you're doing. I'm going to change this back to the parallel chord, which is more common. And now for the cantilever, I'm just going to add an awning here, and I'm going to use the left side. And for this awning here, I want to maybe just change these rafters to a web truss. And now I can change this to a tapered. And now, if I click on that specific web truss, I could say, hey, this is going to be 0. And let me show all. Let me delete those walls. Very easy to do. Delete the walls. And this is one option, but if I want a cantilever, what I can do is I can just tick this box on the awning panel. So once again, click awnings and tick this box, and guess what? My columns are gone. And then I have that structure, which is very common for those larger projects. You can make the modifications on the height of that cantilever. You can actually delete specific bays if you don't want to, all of them. And you can change the width directly from here. So let's say it's 1.5, like a small one. And something that's very common is to have some roller doors on the bottom there. It's clicking in the wrong place. Yep. So then we have that little, cantilever, and you can make the modifications you want here. Super flexible, and links to your pricing as well in real time. So that's one of the features that we have. You have the option to actually make the modifications in the cantilevers or in the main shed as you wish. Something happened there. I changed. That's too much, obviously. So this is one of the changes I would like to show. The other one, and let me just simplify this. Let's start from the bottom again. And now I'd like to show you another feature, which is the concrete panels. So concrete panels, I've been receiving this request for a while, and now this is going to be available for you, not only to add to your 3D Online Designer on your website, so customers can request it, but that's very important when you have grain sheds, where we're storing grains or different things inside, and now we have the option to do that. And there are two ways to add it. You can add on the perimeter and on the grid. So let's add on the perimeter first. I just click on my shed, and now I have my concrete panels. So if I just change the visibility here to like show all, or just hide my roof, and I hide my walls. As you can see, it adds the concrete panel, and if I click on any of those concrete panels, I have options to make modifications here. I can change the thickness to 150, and it changes all of them. I could change the height, so let's say it's 1.5, or 3 meters, you name it. So Shedmate will work really well. And the other one is the offset. So the offset will be based on what type of concrete panel you're building. So for the, if I just make modifications, you're going to see straight away. But generally speaking, if I have something that's inside my columns, and you can measure, right? So I could actually change here to maybe a front view. Let me actually change this a little bit more. So if I go here to my front, I could actually, if I wanted, I could use the measure option to actually see, how far it is from there to here, and it's pretty much 275 on the green area, and I could, change that offset to match. or you can just, go from here and try to get as close as possible. So this would work well for those grain sheds in which the concrete goes inside and you still have the cladding on the outside. So that's the way we have in here. Let's change this to a perspective view and maybe go inside so you can have a better look of how this is actually behaving. So this is it. You can, as I said, make modifications about the concrete resistance. If it's 32, 35, 40, and that's going to affect your pricing, not much the geometry here. Same for the reinforcement that you're going to use for it. You can delete specific panels if you want. For example, I don't want that panel. I don't want that panel. I don't want that panel. And I don't want that panel. And then, you still gonna have some panels around, but not those two. You would probably have like an opening there that, allows for your equipment to actually come in and out. You could have a sliding door on all of those, so you could delete those, but you still have the concrete panels around. The other way to add the concrete panel is when you have the on-grid. So let's say I want to add a concrete panel here. So I can click here on this specific grid, and there you go. So I have my concrete panel inside as well. Same idea here. Let me just hide this roof. I could kind of delete specific panels that I don't want, and that's a good example there. So you have a shed with, kind of a division there. So you could have a specific type of gray on one side, another gray on the other side, and you can have those concrete panels on your company as it goes. So this is the demo of the concrete panel. Something that's coming in the future is the bearing concrete panel. So this is when these concrete panels, they go all the way to the, oops, I changed the wrong thing. I actually wanted to change the height. So this is when the concrete panels, they go all the way to the top. And then instead of having those columns, the column is actually on the top of the concrete panel. So right now, if I actually change that, that offset, this is not going to happen, just so you know. So the concrete panel is going to be placed in the middle. That's actually another possibility. Sometimes you have this type of structure. But if you want the columns to go all the way from the bottom to up there on the concrete panel using the bearing concrete walls, we don't have that feature yet, but it's coming. Okay, but this should, give you a very good overview of this new feature that should allow you to, provide a better service to your customers. So we've covered a lot here. I know I'm conscious of time as well. We're having maybe 8 minutes left. But concrete panel is something that a lot of our existing customers, they were asking for. And now we have that feature available. We have Tapered Truss, which also allows you to do those larger builds. We discussed the engineering workflow, which is way, way simpler than before. So that should simplify for many of you. And we discussed in this session the share links option, which also gives you a better way to serve your customers and hopefully close more of those deals so you can double your shed sales profitably. Okay. I think the only thing left in my list here is a question that we received about the difference of the share links and the 3D online design. I can comment this, but I'll just pass the ball to Renato. Renato, is there anything else that we're missing here that we'd like to discuss? Or are you happy for me to go to the question and answer from the audience?
Yeah, you can go. Just to comment that how powerful Shedmate is. Like you showed the engineering process, but inside of that we had to make a site plan, and Shedmate supports that. We had the 3D online design. We have the pricing calculation in real time. So yeah, it's really good to see that if we add a new feature, everything that has already Shedmate comes up with this new feature as well. So as an example, we have added the concrete panels, and it will be showing in the future in our plans as well. So yeah, it's Shedmate's really a whole package of things, and it's everything integrated. And yeah, the users have a lot of methods to use this to increase sales, increase the new sales and the process inside the team.
Absolutely. And the main goal here is like help them double their sales so they can sell more with less. And I think one of the main barriers of of someone joining Shedmate for the first time or the first week is that the initial onboarding process. They think it's going to be something that how they need to transition everything, but the answer is no. You don't need to transition everything. Although Shedmate is a powerful engine, you can still benefit from the basics. So the 3D Online Designer, for example, the onboarding and the setup might take a few hours, maybe 2 hours. You can set up all of the different templates you want there. And once it's there, you don't need all your pricing to start using Shedmate. So you can start, putting that on your website, run the ads, and actually get those leads, and you can use the existing methods while that's working. And then you can build up from it. We have customers in Shedmate just that they pay the subscription and they only use site plans. We have customers in Shedmate that only using the export features. So when they have a design, they have more complex builds, and they just export that to like Tekla or Advanced Steel or AutoCAD, and they make modifications there. We have customers just using our pricing tool, which is extremely powerful, that allows them to actually see the project breakdown and actually highlight all of those specific items they're quoting, which is also another amazing source of information, so they don't have those missed items and they don't have surprises on the quotation stage. We have customers just using our fabrication frames. So we're not covering everything here. Obviously, Renato, we have so much going on, but they can use this to actually specify specific punching if they want. They modify that in the shed, and then they can streamline their fabrication. Say, hey, this is gonna be just 1 meter from here. I'm gonna add a punching bag on my on my rafter there, for example. And they can export this as a list for fabrication purposes. So there's so many different tools, and you don't need to use all of them. It's okay not to use all of them, but it's a gradual process. I think the more you use Shedmate, the more you start, going to the whole workflow, and the whole workflow can be different from each company. But all of those tools there, as Renato mentioned, they're extremely powerful, and they can work in sync, or they can work individually, like independently. And you can benefit from all of that as you go. I think it's a very good comment to say that, because sometimes, and you know that, Renato, sometimes our customers, they get a little bit, they want to do everything. And it's like, hey, you don't need to do everything. You need to make more money for your business. And to make more money for your business, the first thing, you need more leads, and then you need to close those leads in sales. So once you do that, then you get more money in your pocket, and then you can start doing the other things. You can start delivering better. You can start doing other things. But that's the focus initially here, Shedmate. We provide the 3D Online Designer. All of the inquiry comes straight to your draft. You don't need to get an email and uploading a new different tool. You have visibility and transparency. So all of the salespeople actions, they're there in the same location. You can see who created that project. You can inspect each project, each quote, to see who sent what, and all of this stays in the same environment. So I think this is the beauty of it. So if you're just starting in Shedmate, I would say, hey, focus on getting the main challenges in your business like solved with Shedmate for now. If you're in Shedmate for a while, I would say focus on those advanced features, like those more advanced tutorials and training, because that's what's going to give you more performance and agility. And if you're in Shedmate for a few years now, I would say focus on the integrations. Focus on integrating these with your like Monday boards, with your Xero, with your HubSpot, with your Salesforce, with your other systems, so you can see that data being implemented across the whole company from beginning all the way to the end, and you can have peace of mind to scale your operations.
Yeah, perfect.
I hope.
Yeah. So I believe that
Good,
we can go through the questions that we received.
Yeah, the first one is the difference of the 3D Online Design and the share links. It's a good question, and they are fundamentally different, although they can be used in a similar way. So what happens is the 3D Online Designer is kind of a way for you to provide access for your customer to modify that chat, right? So you have here like a system in which anyone can use that. You can copy this link and send to anyone. They can come to this page here that you can modify. You can add nicer photos here. And actually, hopefully, I'm going to use this option to demonstrate some of these, because we haven't yet. So you can actually modify this, and I'll continue this conversation. Coming here in settings, I'm just doing that because I don't like the way this demo is
sorry, I believe
shown.
that you have to share your screen.
Oh, yes. Sorry, guys.
No problem.
What a terrible mistake. Okay, I think I'm back here. We have a few minutes left, and I'll just use this to demonstrate the whole. Is my screen showing up, Renato?
Yeah.
Yep, I think it is. Yeah, good. So the question here is the difference of the 3D Online Designer and the share links. So as I was saying, the 3D Online Designer is pretty much a way for you to share that information with your customer, and they can modify, they can make comments, and they can request a quotation. And that's when this information comes to you as a draft. The share link is when you actually, generally speaking, you already have that design, and you're not in the same presence of the customer. Maybe the customer is in another place, it's home. And what you can do is you can open that shed, and then you can make modifications, and you can click here and share that so your customer can actually see that. They won't be able to modify using this link. So if I just open here another tab, I'm in an anonymous page here, so you don't need a login or anything. So if I click here, I cannot do anything. I cannot modify that. I can only tell like that my salespeople what I want to do. So this is good when having those conversations, right? We actually have some customers asking for the customers to make modifications, but we just made that can come in the future. But for now, that's a feature that allows you just say, okay, this is the shed as we have designed for you. There are other options here. Once you have your final design, you can actually share this with your site crew as well. So your site crew would be able to see the fabrication, and they can click on all of those items, and they can see where everything goes together. Okay, so there's a rafter here. The top heads are 75, 75. I have footing there like 600 by 800, and then they can inspect where the bracing goes. So if they don't want to follow the plans, which sometimes is the case, right? I would generally advise to follow the engineering plans because it can contain more information, specifically in terms of the constructability. But this can be in an auxiliary method. They can actually use this without having to log into Shedmate, just opening that so they can see how the shed's going to look like together. Okay, so I hope that that made that clear difference, that we have the 3D Online Designers. You can put it on websites so people can design, and in these share links, not for them to design, it's only for them to view what the shed, how the shed looks like, and they're used for these different purposes. If you are actually putting these for your site crew to see, my recommendation is going back here to, where is it, to Shedmate. I have so many tabs open. Yep. So you can actually download this QR code, and you can paste these QR codes in the documentation that goes to the site on the final version. So make sure that you're saving the final version of your shed, and then once you share this link, then they can use their phone to actually scan this, and they can see how the shed is going to look like to erect. I hope that clarifies that question. And in the meanwhile, if Renato has another question, please share. But I would like to show you, it's a new feature. It's not major, but can make a good insight. It's actually the ability to modify your shed presets, and you can edit those folders and use a different thumbnail. So, for example, if I'm doing hay shed, I can just get let me come here to images. I just search for hay shed, and let me see. I think this image looks good. I would need to actually change here for something that I can use for commercial and other licenses. So that's one from Adobe stock, but that's a good one. So let's say that I just want to get this part of the shed. I can save this to my computer, and now I can come back to my Shedmate environment and excuse me, and upload that image. So if I change it, just a second, trying to find it. So many different things here. Excuse me. So I hit OK. Then that shed goes there, and I could rename this as well and say, hey, this is all of my hay sheds. Leave your marketing team to get you better images that kind of fit the the frame here. But then you can add those images everywhere, and then you can have those different categories on your shed, like hay sheds, machinery sheds, garages, domestic, equine, agri, culture sheds, you name it. So that's another feature we have to organize this better. And actually, I did the right thing. There's a hay shed there. Nice. I was just using this as an example. Alrighty, I think that's it, Renato. I think we covered most of it. Is there any other question or just next week?
Yeah, no, I believe that it was all covered. So yeah, thanks for your time, Arthur, and thanks for joining us today. And yeah, and I will just do the invite for our next meeting. So again, next Wednesday we will be online at 8 a.m. Adelaide time for our next Shedmate Q&A Live. So I would ask you to bring your questions, bring your workflow challenges, and let's keep the thing easier and really practical. So yeah, we are here to help you. And basically it's this. Thanks everyone. Thanks Arthur. We will see us.
My pleasure.
Yeah, well, let's see in the next week more questions and more challenges to be solved. Okay. So see ya.
Awesome.
Bye bye. Take care.
See you, everyone. Have a great one.